Arlington's greatness.
This is E-Ray C. Shout out to Hayes. And this is our Only Touch Greatness podcast. You know?
Yeah, the mayor of C-Town, Ryan Hayes, and his big name guest.
Stay away from the beef, the meat in the streets. If all fails, show your teeth. Understand you might slip, but stay on the pavement. Manage your finances, don't get behind on payments. Display your greatness, stay in the latest. Your style, not theirs, why not be amazing? Life is a stage. Have your moments, your year, your decade, whatever, just own it. Put your foot on the pedal, but know when to ease up. And don't flash your money and tell them you came up. Let me talk to you for a minute, player to player. You gotta like, so I can throw this game in there. Player to player. Player to player. Let me talk to you for a minute, player to player. You gotta like, so I can throw this game in there.
I need you, but I gotta make some dough. I must hit the cut, cause to come up is what my plan is. Gotta advance and take some chances due to circumstances.
Now the way it's set up now, you ain't gotta leave the house. But the way my mind's set up, I unplug and get out. Spend time with nature. The universe trying to speak, but she think it's in my nature to add miles and run the street. But I'm in hustle mode while still being a player, but I ain't chasing those. Progress, so your hands up, you fresh off work. The night went well, nobody got hurt. We ain't tripping off the past, cause the present is golden. Strip up the ties, baby, I'm still rolling. So your hands up, you fresh off work. The night went well, nobody got hurt. We ain't tripping off the past, cause the present is golden. Strip up the ties, baby, I'm still rolling. Always in motion, just like the river, steady flowing in shade. Watching the waves while listening to Billy Ocean. It's motivation I'm always hosting. Kellis, what you posting? 423,
living in the city, living in the city, kid. Living in the city, living in the city, kid. Living in the city, living in the city, kid. Living in the city, living in the city, kid. Living in the city, living in the city, kid. Living in the city, living in the city, kid. You know the town, stupid, this is all authentic ground. You can get poked, grabbed and choked and shot up for product. Bang Cola, stay in the lab, too many dumb scheming. You can get murked up in the cab. Shout out the niggas that be jerking tags, holding the jazz.
Scan the code and follow. Often imitated but never duplicated, I Only Touch Greatness podcast with Ryan Hayes.
Fucking right. So it's good we got this happening. Thanks for being on time too.
Yeah. Right. Yep. I believe in that, man. Being on time, and it's just it's one of my mottos, man. Everything I've ever done, I always like to just be ready. You know.
I'm definitely the same way. I'm always 15 minutes early for everything I do. So
yeah, man. I started real young. I was taught that, and I always imply it with everything I do because. Even though we're doing something in regards in hip hop, it's still very important that you be on time for everything. Meetings, shows. It's just, I don't know. I can talk forever about those things because it shows showsmanship of who you are. You know what I mean? It's not you just do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter what type of artist you are. You could be a big artist, a smaller artist. It's just being prompt is very important. People take you a little more serious when you're actually on time.
that's for sure. I was raised the same way. Grandparents had it instilled in me way back in the day that if you're any less than 15 minutes early, then you're late.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And even for work, it's like I like to have a coffee, and like even now, like we were talking off air about what I was doing before this.
Right,
like
right.
It's like I kind of just want to like chill a few minutes beforehand.
Yeah, because you need that. Because think about it, if you go to work and you have to clock in and get to work right away, it's gonna make you feel a certain way. But if you get that 15 minutes before you get to chill out and do, like you said, go grab a cup of coffee, chill out, get your thoughts together before work. that's always a beautiful thing, man. I've always believed in that, arriving early so you can get a peace of mind, if anything else,
You'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised on how many rap interviews I've done that they no show or the hour late or
Yeah.
it happens. I get it.
It happens, yeah.
I get it. Okay,
let's go. Let's go ahead.
We're gonna switch views. Hey, we're going. So born in Richmond, California is the stat that I found. I don't know if you were born there, but that's the stat I got for you.
Yeah, I'm from Richmond, California. That's where I'm from. Yep.
Well, what was childhood like for you growing up?
And basically a lot like other people, a lot of people that I grew up around. You know what? I did play sports. We played. We made up our own sport games. We played a lot of basketball, football. A lot of my people I went to school with, friends, they played baseball. We boxed and we played flag football in the streets. We created our own thing also. And then we made up our own games also, man. Hide and go seek, hide and go get it. You know what I mean? So it was fun. I can honestly say I don't want to take nothing away from the fun part because I actually had a great childhood with a lot of great childhood friends, man. I wouldn't change it for nothing.
Yeah, see, that was my next question too. It was like, being that we're a sports podcast as well. So, was there any sports that you played that you excelled at? You've mentioned a bunch that you played. Was there one that you were like good?
I want to say basketball was probably my favorite. I played for school maybe half a season, but I didn't stay playing there. But we always played at the parks. You hear about those, like the Rucker in New York. We always did the same thing, but we at our local, schools or the parks, we'll go out there, get some teams together, get a 5-on-5 real quick. And I grew up doing that a lot. So I love basketball growing up. I think I was pretty good at it. And then, once the music started, I got that pinch from music. I went that way. But I did enjoy playing basketball. I actually thought I was going to be a basketball star, but I'm not even 6'2" or 6'3" or anything like that. But I still enjoyed playing it. And like I said, I was into art and music. So that kind of took me that way,
Okay. When did you start taking music seriously and knowing that you would want to do it?
Well, I actually probably wrote my first song when I was like 13. I wrote my song. I called myself the Educated Boy. Maybe it was just because that's what I was presenting myself as, because I was always talking about things and I felt like that's my lane. As a kid, I was like, I'm a positive rapper, and then, I started talking about life in the music, and that turned into something else. I started listening to other hip hop artists. So it kind of molded me another way, so make more reality rap, not just, I don't call it gangster rap. It's more reality, things that really happens or you see that's going on in the streets. So I started making those type of songs, as I got older.
Okay. And who was one artist growing up that really influenced you?
One artist, I got many, but I got maybe a couple. Listening to Rakim, the words that the way he put his words together, that was just phenomenal to me. I was a young kid listening to him. So that kind of really, and then Run DMC, of course, and Grandmaster Cash and the Melly Mel, those songs, you're hearing all these songs. One of my favorite groups is EPMD, because, they rock the fisherman's hats also. I rock those too, my little style, but that's where I get that from. And, and then, growing up in the Bay, we had our superstars that we listened to growing up, like Too Short, Dangerous Dame, Magic Mike, Calvin T, a lot of those artists that mold us in the Bay Area that we grew up listening to.
Yeah, I was saying to you off air how when we met at that time, 2009, I'm a drinker, so I had to go I had to go to the bar right away when I got to Portland, I believe it was Portland, I think.
Yeah, yep, it was Portland.
And as soon as I got to the bar and I sat down next to you, and we got to chat, and I'm a talker, so I make friends wherever I go. We got to chatting and talking, and that trip changed a lot for me. It took me. I met people that I'm still lifelong friends with, like B Styles and Octavius. And
Right, yeah.
I don't know if you're still in contact with Octavius, or could you?
Yeah, I usually talk to him like if it's online or anything. I haven't spoke to him in a minute, but I just ran through his. I know he's doing the new West Coast Hip Hop Awards again in LA this year, so I might chime in with him and see what's going on with that. He does it every year. It's like an annual thing. Every year he does it in a different place. I did another one. I went to another one a few years back, the one he did in Oakland, because it was close by. But he's been to Phoenix, Seattle. He's been everywhere with it on the West Coast, and that's a great opportunity for other artists. I like what he represents and does that, because it shows that, look, if you can't get a Grammy or award this way on the major level, we can present it to you because we represent the West Coast. Here's your award for all the efforts you've done. So when I see people like Spice One get one, he deserved it. I've seen a lot of them where, a lot of underground artists, Cocaine, a lot of these people deserve some type of award for all the stuff that they've done. You know what I'm saying? Here on the West Coast, we don't get these awards. So it's very good that it's someone that looks out and says, you know what, we'll do our own, create something where we give out awards to our forefathers of hip hop that represented our coast, So that's a great thing.
Yeah, because back then in 2009, I was like a mixtape DJ. So I was doing what Khaled did before Khaled was doing it.
Right.
So I was taking somebody's verse and sticking it on a different person's verse and putting that song and sending that together to somebody and just mixing it, because I never rapped. I just bought the studio time and I put everybody's songs together. So exactly. I was back at those awards. I was like, I won mixtape DJ of the year in 2009. Yeah. That was in Portland.
Right.
The following year was in San Francisco, like you were saying, and it got shut down, and it ended up being a barbecue type event in Oakland. And then I actually just went to the one again this year in Seattle. So
okay,
I'd be all over. I still be attending that.
And I remember, when I actually contacted you some years back, and I said, "Hey, you still doing the your music thing and whatever?" And you were like, "Not right now. Kind of just chilling right now. I don't know. I might get back with it." Because you remember when I chimed in with you years back and I asked you, were you still active doing things? And you were just kind of like, "Not right now." You just kind of gave it a break. That's
that's what it was. Basically, I was doing mixtapes till about 2013, 2014. And then I kind of I had a girlfriend at the time, so that took all my time away.
Yeah, right.
So that took all my time away, and I stepped back from the music. And then when COVID hit, I'm like, I know all these connections, and like I've been doing this for years. Like, why not just do something simple like this that we can talk to each other during COVID?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. This is the perfect opportunity for that. I mean, it opened a lot of doors for a podcast during COVID, because it made people have this creative, like, hey, I can do this. We can still talk with people, and they don't have to be here in your home, around you or not. So you can still get it done. Oh, another thing. Remember that track that you put me on back in maybe 2009, 2010?
Yeah.
It was like with 25 other MCs on there. I remember.
Yeah. Okay. You were on my 8-bar cypher.
Yeah, I remember you asked me to get a verse on there, and I did it. I remember I heard it maybe once or twice, but I haven't heard it since.
Okay, I got that somewhere for you.
I'm on my A game, same letter got in my business class. Rappers don't know me, but soon will after I destroy their ass. That's me humbly speaking, off no weed and drink. And I ain't gotta act hard, that's why they make guns and shakes. I'm in a lab while others rushing to award shows, trying to get attention of rappers. Can I get a photo? Sound like a sissy, I'm EYC. Nigga, what? From Richmond, Cali to Vancouver. Stand up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got to find the actual MP3, but I definitely can find the link. I put it on YouTube back in the day, and it's still there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that one actually was crazy. That was all because somebody pissed me off. I had a Vancouver guy tell me that this beat sucked, and that nobody was gonna want on that track. So I went and got 28 people on that track.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's how you do it. Do it. And nobody had a problem with it. They all rapped on it. So, And
that's just it, too. That's what happened with the podcast, too. It's like I was trying to do it with my friends, and they were like, oh, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to suck. I don't want to do interviews. I'm like, okay, well,
Oh,
I'm going to take this and run. And now look, 570 episodes and all big name people. So.
Exactly. And that's one thing that stood out to me, because I'm like, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I see quality artists and people on here. Basically it's more of a sports podcast, but you do put artists on here. That's what I got from it. And a lot of these people that you put on there, I'm like, wow, these are very interesting, things like people would actually look at. It's not just one dimensional. You know what I mean? It's like you and then you had the guy from the WWF on there. I was like, whoa, that was dope, because it's just like, it makes you want to look, because I haven't looked at all of them, because I kind of wanted to stay away. I wanted to do, when you told me you were going to do mine, I was like, okay, well, let me kind of I want to just do mine naturally, and then I'll go back and look at theirs, so that way I won't take from there. Because actually I chimed in on Spice One, and he said one thing that I would have said on this interview. And I said, oh man, I said, maybe let me just wait, and then I'll look at the ones once I'm finished with mine,
Yeah, that's for sure. You were on or back in the day, 94, you were on the West Coast Bad Boys with that was the one that was done with Tobin, our buddy, the late Tobin. Tell us about that story and how you ended up on that album.
Master P's West Coast Bad Boys. Yeah. Actually, so what happened is we had a distribution company when I did my first album, strictly for the G's, St. Charles, who used to distribution, we used to go through him. That's E40's uncle. He did a lot of distribution for a lot of Bay Area artists, and I was one of them at the time. So we went up to the distribution that was in Fairfield. I think it was in Fairfield, California. And one day, I had a manager at the time that was kind of shadow managing me, Big V. Shout out to Big V. We went up there. I think to drop off some more CDs and tapes, because I sold some or whatnot, or do something like that of that nature. And Big V told me, he said, hey, you want to get down on this record? Master P is wrapping up. He's doing one last song. It's already basically finished. He got room for another artist. You're from Richmond, so you should be able to get on there at the time. So I didn't see Master P. They actually went, I like to tell my story in very good in detail. So they went to Nations. That's a burger spot, right? Out that way in Fairfield. So it was Master P, Silk, King George, and I think it was C Murder was with them, but I'm not for sure if it was C Murder. I can't remember if it was C Murder, but I know it was like 3 or 4 of them. They went to go to Nations. I recorded my verse. They came back and they said, hey, Mr. P, he heard it. And he was like, oh, dope. We're going to put it out. That's when he told me that was just the last record. He said, we're going to put this out. He said, I got one artist that needs to finish it right after you. His name is Kilo. That's from San Francisco. So that's how it happened. I did my verse, and then Kilo came and finished the song. And that was the last record for the West Coast Bad Boys. So it's one of those things where you right time, right place, right. You come in and then something is going on and then you get part of it. So it wasn't planned. I just went to the place and then they just put me on there. And that's how I got on that record.
Prince, you there, bud?
Oh no, are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Titans
what
fan
up?
Or Texans fan?
What's up, man?
What's
how
up,
you doing?
man? What's happening? Nice to meet
what's up?
you.
How you doing, man? Nice to meet you too, man. Shout out to you. And you in KC, right?
Yep, in KC, man.
Okay.
I'm at my hometown right now, so it's my birthday weekend. So
Oh man, your birthday weekend too?
Oh
yeah,
too, man.
Oh, your birthday weekend too.
Man, my birthday this weekend too, man. It's Pisces season, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got to.
Yeah,
My homeboy just bought me a bottle too. Hold on. Mo just bought me a bottle. Hold on, let me tell you.
Oh man.
Got to do best.
Yeah, you're doing it right, man. You're doing the best. I got you, man.
Right. It's good to meet you.
Hey, so what is your birthday? Your birthday? When is your birthday? So you the same day?
Brisket.
Yeah. My birthday's on Friday, March 3rd.
I'm the 5th. I'm the 5th.
Okay.
Oh, you on the 5th? Okay.
Yeah. Prince, we were just talking the West Coast Bad Boys. Put your thing on mute so I don't have to hear him talking about the Titans in the background.
Okay, no, I got you.
Dude, that's
I hear Russell in the background talking about his Titans. Okay, we're editing that part out anyways. Okay, so back to that question. Your album, Strictly for My G's in 1994, was an underground classic. What was your favorite song off of that?
Man, you know what? It was a good piece of work. You know what? The last song I actually did was Strictly for the G's. That was the last track. K-Lou out of Richmond, famous producer and studio. K-Lou's production. He did that track. He pulled it up. We was working on the album, and he just had a track. He just started playing it. It had that funk in it, dun, 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 you know. And so he played it, and he started playing the guitar, the bass with it. We were like, whoa, blown away. We was like, we gotta have this track. You know what I mean? It was like he was playing it for me. So he was actually doing the track. He had some of the track done, but then he started playing on it to add to it. And we were like, yeah, blown away, man. And that's how that became the title track on my album. That was the last track I did. So if you want to ask me the favorite, I want to say that one because of it was very organic. But there's other tracks on that album too, man, that Kidnap produced, man, that were very dope. You got, Trademark All Day was dope. You know what I'm saying? We had Recognize Real G with Silky. I enjoyed my whole record on that. Just doing that time, that process was really easy for me at the time because I had already programmed myself to be an artist. So when I had got a chance to actually do an album, I was already ready to go. So we just did it like just clockwork, just real quick. It didn't take long to do it.
What was the album going to be called before that?
We didn't have a title at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of like we didn't know. I didn't know at the time. It was just kind of like once we did that track, that became the title of the track because it was just that heavy. I feel like that was one of the more heavier songs on the album. So it became the number one song, and on first song on the album, last song that I did.
Okay, and you had the album that I got from you when we met at the awards. The Second Wind album. That was actually your third. Yeah. That was your third album, right?
Right. Second Wind.
Yeah, your second one. Let's talk about that. I forgot to write that note down.
Oh, no worries. So the Second Wind album it was more like a street album, basically. I called it more of a street album because back then people were doing mixtapes. So what I did was I had some tracks that were laying up like from Millennium, my boy Millennium and McLaren F1. I had some tracks on a beat CD at the time. So I listened to those. I was like, nobody's doing anything to these tracks. So let me just go ahead and put something out there. So I took those tracks and did songs to them. And then I got a DJ to scratch over the records on each song. So to me, it was my version of a mixtape, but it was like an album because I used my original songs instead of like somebody else's.
Do you have a favorite song off that?
Ooh, I did a lot of songs on there. So I say one of the standout tracks on there is Not Needed. I Don't Need That. It's a song that went featuring me and D Ross, my homie D Ross. We actually did a video for that. That was very fun to do. So you could check that out. I think that's probably one of my favorites on there. A lot of storytelling I did, like when I started the record off, the introduction about me as an MC. And then I talked about how I woke up and started my day. That was kind of fun to do songs like I love to do songs like that, like, tell a story, so I was telling the story on there, but it's a lot of good songs on there, but I think those are like really the standout songs for me. But like I said, I pretty much enjoyed the process of making that because that's when things wasn't going the best for me. And I just went ahead and did that,
Yeah, we'll try to drop the highlights in of that, like right there as you're talking about that video. So that'll be good. Prince, you want to shoot one?
Yeah, I can shoot one. Being part of, West Coast Bad Boys was a dope feeling, you know what I'm saying? RP Toby Costin, like, and being dope as he is. How was it working with Tobin?
School for criminal justice, so she would be a crime. And she thinks.
Yeah, he said Tobin Costin.
Yeah, how was it working with Tobin?
Time in.
How was it? Yeah, how was Tobin Costin?
Grades, that stuff.
Which one? Who is that? I'm not for sure what you're talking about.
So that's what we were saying earlier. He was the Master P's like right-hand man.
Yeah,
oh man. Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? I wasn't right hand with him like that. So I mean,
okay.
That was probably his right hand man, but I wasn't for sure. I didn't really know of him. Like I knew P, but I didn't know of him like that.
Yeah, because I think the West Coast Bad Boys, he was the executive producer. It was him and Master P that were the executive producer of that album.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I wasn't for sure. Yeah, I wasn't in tune with him like that. It's not like we were like the best, friends. So
Yeah.
I knew of Pete because, when he came to Richmond, he opened up a shop. He opened a store out there. He was selling his records. He had the black and white cassette tapes. I mean, I seen him when he was, I was very young, a kid. So, and I'm looking at him like put out albums. I'm like, who is this dude, putting out albums? But you could see, looking back, I seen the vision in this guy from day one. It's not mistakenly that he's a millionaire because he's done this groundwork from day one that and at the time he wasn't even looked at as somebody that you would think that is going to do this, but his dedication for it and the way that he did everything, he made himself look like he's the man even when he wasn't the man. So that's why you got to tip your hats off to people like that. It's like, hey, I'm doing this regardless, and I'm gonna look like I'm doing it, but even if I'm not, So shouts out to him for that.
This one,
right? And also, I just wanted to say, man, like,
it's not.
Wait
till next week.
First thing about
I don't know what happened.
Music, man.
Well,
everything about music, it's always inspiring. Like, what was some of the songs back in the days that inspired you to do some of the work that you did, that you doing today?
Like some of the songs?
Well, yeah, like some of the songs, albums.
Yeah, that's a good question, man, because I soaked up a lot of hip hop and musical influences, man. It's just so many. Like, I want to say like Run DMC from the gate, because when you seen them two brothers rock, it's like you felt a certain way. Like when I bought my first pair of Adidas, I took out the regular shoestrings and put some fat laces in them just because of them. You know what I mean? And I was a kid, man. I'm like in the second or third grade doing that. That's how, and that's why I say them, because that was a very that impacted my life. You know what I mean? That made me want to be an MC. And I'm not thinking I was going to be an MC at that time. I just like the culture. I'm like, ooh, they rocking. So I would say Run DMC because they was rocking at the time, man. You know what I mean?
In 2015, you put out an album called On E.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite song off of that one? And can you tell us about
that? Favorite song? Man, it's always hard for me because I'm like, when I put together a piece of work, I always look at it all the same, right? And then people take what they like out of which song. For me, it's personal. You know what I mean? But my most personal song on the album is the last record. It's called the E Story, where I talk about things that happened to me in my life and where I'm at now. I even talk based on that, me doing the West Coast Bad Boys, that early me, and where, the things that happened to me in my life, and then where I'm at now. So that song that was one of my most personal records. So I would say that one because it was personal. It's called the E Story. It's like the end. I love the way I started my album off. It's called Elude, where I'm just MCing all the way through, letting people know that I'm here and I'm an MC. But McLaren F1, he did the bulk of that production on that album, man. We sat through that album, man, and we just cranked it out, music after music. And if I might say, not to be bragging, but hit after hit, we was smashing, man. He was coming through with the great production, and I was coming through with the lyrics, man. We just went in and just put our best foot forth, and then came out with an amazing project on E.
What was it like being in the Source magazine's Unsigned Hype?
But that was a highlight of my career, of course. So the way that story happened was I sent them some demo, because back then you would write down the address and it says, hey, if you want to get in the Source magazine, send us some music. So I sent it to him, right? So about 2 months went by, man, and I didn't hear from him. So guess what? I sent him another one, and not thinking that's not how it works. So I called him. I said, hey, man, I sent a demo like two months ago, and I haven't heard anything back, because I thought that you automatically got put in there after we hear. And they were like, that's not how it works, man. It's we get so many submissions. It's unfortunately that we can't get to everyone, right? So, and at the time, I didn't even tell him my name when I talked to that person. I just kind of like, oh, okay, it don't work that way. And it was so crazy that someone else called me back like maybe a month or two later and was like, hey, man, you E-Ray C? I said, yeah. So no, the first thing that happened real quick, I get a text because I had a pager at the time when this happened. So I get a text and it's a 212 number. You know, that's automatically New York. So I didn't know anybody in New York at the time. Actually, I did, but I didn't know. You know, I knew that this had to be somebody else that was business. So when I seen the number, I said, New York. I'm like, it's got to be something music. You know what I mean? So I went, called. I was actually going to my friend's house at the time, one of my best friends, J-Mac, Jamal. So I went to his house. I said, hey, can I use your phone, man? I think it's a business call. He said, go ahead. So, and then I told him, man, this is going to be a long distance call. He said, oh, no worries, man, go ahead. So I called him. I said, yeah, this is The Source. I said, The Source magazine? He was like, yeah. I said, well, I'm E-Ray-C. Somebody just called me. He was like, you know who? I said, no, they didn't leave a message. They just left the number. And he was like, well, there's so many people that work here. We don't know who it is. Somebody will call you back. I'll let them know and stuff like that, right? Then I get a call back maybe like 30 minutes later. And the guy calls me. He said, you're E-Ray-C? I said, yeah. He said, hey, man, the music is dope. We're going to put you in here. I said, oh, that's dope, man. And that's when I was really happy, you know, just to hear that. And he was like, yeah, your music is dope. It's good. I'm asking you a few questions. How long you been rapping? Who's your influence? You know, things of that nature. And I gave him all the information. He was like, all right, good, man. You know what? We have somebody. The next Source we already got that one already scheduled for whoever's going to be in that one. So we put you in the one after that. He said, so look for that one, right? I'm like, oh, that's cool. So the next one had Biggie on the cover, right? Because Biggie album Life After Death was coming out. This is the thing about that. So that was coming out. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm in the next issue. I don't know who's going to be on this cover, but it's going to be somebody. I mean, Big was just on this one. I'm going to be on the next one, right? So unfortunately, Big had passed. I got, murdered or whatever. And I'm in that issue. They put me in that issue, right? And so everybody, when it came out, where I'm from, Richmond, they was happy. Everybody I knew was happy that I was in that I was in The Source. They were like, man, you in The Source? Oh, man, this is dope. You know what I mean? It was a big thing for me. But I still was very humbled about it. I don't like to say humble, but I was very just kind of chilled about it. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool. I called The Source up, because at this time it was some riffs going on about East and West at this time. Remember that was bubbling going on?
Yeah.
Because when Big got hit, they really started thinking some East-West things. So I called The Source up. I said, hey, I appreciate y'all putting me in The Source, man. What's next? Because I'm thinking hey, maybe I could give out some more music so I can try to get to some labels or something, right? They were like, hey, man, it's all bad. I'm like, what's going on? It was like, yeah, man. I said, y'all don't think it's the East and West thing, beef, is it? They said, yeah. This is what they're telling me, right? This one guy said, yeah, that's what they're basically thinking it is, man. So we're kind of chilling on, artists that way. You know what I mean? Y'all, it's too much stuff going on right now. Big just got killed. He's like, man. Then he just told me, yeah, good luck with your music, man. Ain't nothing we gonna do about it because we don't even trust you guys right now. You know what I mean? That's the weirdest part about this whole situation. So if you think about it, I thought about it years later. I was in the greatest. I don't want to word this. I want to say one of the best issues, but at the wrong time. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was good that I was in that issue, but it was a bad thing for me trying to promote myself. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was just
because they basically blackballed the whole West Coast after that.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So people I knew, they didn't think like that because we from the Bay Area. We figure Big got killed in LA, that didn't have nothing to do with us, right? So people from the Bay didn't ever look. They looking at it like, oh boy, you good. But I'm like, I knew I didn't look at it deep like that until years later. It took me almost 10, 15 years later to realize oh, okay, that's what really happened. It was just kind of like, I'm in a great issue, but not really, because they're not really dealing with no West Coast music right now. They're not going to even try to, even though they felt like I was good. If you read that comment, it was, they were praising me, saying that I was actually a gifted artist, right? But they still, after that happened, when Big got killed, they wasn't trying to listen. They didn't want to hear nothing. They didn't want to, we're not going to, it took a while for even the West Coast to get back to that stage where an artist that was not signed to get signed. Artists that were signed at the time, they were the only ones like Q, Mac 10, Dub C, Exhibit. All them people still had it, because they were already had albums out, so they were able to keep going. But people who wasn't signed yet, it was either you was doing it independent because the labels are not going to call you, at this time, even though we didn't have anything to do with that. We love Big, especially on the West Coast Bay Area. We knew Big was dope, a dope artist, you know what I'm saying? But we rock with Pac, of course, but when that happened, it was an unfortunate situation. We always looked at it like that was different. That had nothing to do with the Bay Area. That was some other stuff, you know what I mean? That's Southern California, we Northern California, but shout out to LA. I love LA, but I'm saying we felt that was their political stuff going on, you know what I mean? And basically that's just what it was, man. But I'm thankful for being in that great issue, because if you look at the Unsigned Hype, if the whole magazine was dedicated to Big, so all his pictures and everything he's ever done, so it was very emotional issue to be in, from the gate, you know what I'm saying? But any artist can ever go back to that and be like, oh, you was in that issue? Because that issue is probably an issue that if you love Big, you probably had that issue. You could probably tell some major label artists. I guarantee you, ask anybody from Locks who got that issue, they can pull it up and they'll see me in there. You know what I mean? Nobody's thinking about that, but I actually feel like I'm in a great issue. It was just not at the right time,
Yeah. And you reminded me of a story as you were talking there. Well, back in my day, I missed the phone call from Interscope, and I called back Interscope, and they said the exact same thing, that there's too many people that work here. They'll call you back again, and I've never heard from them.
Oh, and that happens, man. Unfortunately, it's just unfortunate that they really wanted me in there, so they called me again because I called them. So yeah, and that does happen. I've heard stories like that a lot, man. They'll call you. I had a situation where some family I knew, they had triplets. They were actually in the 50 Cent video called from his last major label album back in 2009. It was called Baby. What is it called? Something. I forgot the name of the record. But it was one of his videos, and he had the triplets. If you see some little kids in there, those are my little cousins. They're in that video, right? They got paid. He heard about them. He paid them to come down and be in the video because he's seen them online or something. And he called him again, months later to do something else. And guess what happens? He didn't call him personally, but his manager or somebody called one of the family members. They didn't pick up the phone. So guess what happened? Never heard from him again. Yep. And that's just the business, man. Nobody chases nobody for anything like that. And so
on to the next one.
You missed that call. It really happens like that. That's how I can identify what you were just saying, because it happened to a family member like mine. So, yeah. Yeah,
that's just it. I wish I knew who was on the other end. Then I could, but I have no idea.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Prince, you want to shoot one?
Yeah. I'm going to shoot one and then I'm going to get off here. Yeah, and salute to you, man. Shout out to you, man.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And I'm going to tap in with you. Royalty Rules 816 on IG. So basically, you know what I'm saying? What is one of your favorite restaurants to go to? You know what I'm saying? When you're out and about.
Favorite restaurants? Well, I grew up in Richmond, California, so Portamex was one of them. Dang, what's my one, man? I can't even remember. It's off on 3rd Street, 4th Street, by the Nevin Center. They shut it down. Dang, I can't even think right now. But all my peoples, they gonna see this and be like, "Boy, you didn't say the right name." But yeah, it was one right in the spot, right in the hood spot, man, that I love going to. I just couldn't think. I can't think of the name right now. I'm kind of blank on that name. But it was like some of those, the ones that one that I just named, and another one that was right up 2 blocks away from my house that I enjoyed going to. I always like the local spots, man. So growing up, we deal with the local spots. We ate there, and they had the best foods anyway. So
yeah, that was your chance to plug your local restaurant. That way you can get some free food out of them or something.
Yeah, like the other one that I can't name right now. I don't know if they're still there now anymore. Okay. But Portamex is still rocking. Yeah, they're on 23rd in Richmond.
You got the new single with Devin the Dude. How did that come about? And it's a great song too.
Yeah, right on, man. So I got the video out right now. Y'all check that out. So my producer F1, just doing business. He knows. He does tracks. So what happens a lot of my times where you do favor for a favor. So you do a beat for someone, and he knew someone, and that's how we did it. We wasn't actually in the studio, but it's still the real track. So he did the hook because, you know, like I said, favor for a favor. You give a track to someone, they do a hook for you. You know, that's how this game is. You know, favor for a favor type of thing.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true for sure. Yeah, that's a great video too. By the way,
right on, man. I appreciate it, man.
It just came out a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it just came out. I did that. When I flew to Atlanta, I did that video. So that video is done, and that's my first time doing a video like out of state like that. So
I mean, that girl's a baddie.
Oh, right on, man. That's Izzy, man. Izzy is she does her thing. She's a model, actress. You know what I'm saying? I'm not for sure exactly everything she does, but I know she does that video work and stuff like that. She you could check her on IG because I always at everybody that's part of what I do. You know.
Okay. Who are some of the producers that you've worked with?
Overall, or just yeah. So one of my very first producer, man, shout out to DJ Iceberg. That's, you know, he married my cousin over the years, but he was like the first person I met who had like a real DJ set up right across the street from my house when we were young. And he's the one who we kind of introduced ourselves into music because he was playing music. So I'm like, oh, who's this guy out? You know, I'm young, so I go over to cross the street. He's like, yeah, he got records and stuff. He's spinning a lot of vinyl. And we started a group, me, him, and my boy J Mac and Ibco. We all, and shout out to my boy Prez, he stays in New York now, and my boy Barkus. We all just came together and started a little group. And he had a 4-second sampler in his room. He set it up and he would sample tracks and we would rap over them. This is before I even went to a studio. So this is back before the studio. So this is the reason why I was so ready when I first went to a studio, because I had been practicing. And then I went to K-Luz for the first time as us as a group, not even as a solo artist. And we were knocking them out like one take. Like we had already been in the studio, but we've been practicing at home before we even got to a studio. And then after that, it was Kidnap. Kidnap is somebody who's done a lot of work with me. Kidnap is the one guy who got me the deal with my first album, Strictly for the G's. We were doing music. I was fresh off of my little accident, and he called me, said, "E, you still want to push the music?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "All right." And he let somebody hear the music, the label that I went through, LBZ Strap Records. He had heard some guys trying to get an artist. And he hit me back and said, "Hey, man, they like your music, man. They want to put you out." I'm like, "Put me out?" I'm like, they ain't even met me. He's like, "Yeah, man, they like the music." He said, "They want to meet you in 2 weeks." This is exact words. "They want to meet you in 2 weeks." So I knew it was a business. So I was like, "Oh, perfect. Okay, I'm ready." I go over there with my binder full of raps. I got songs that I already have in my head. I just spit a bunch of songs to them. They say, "Yeah, we're ready. Let's work with you." Just like that. You know what I'm saying? And then we got going.
You're on a song that came out recently, Kids Dance Party with Yuckmouth, friend of our show, and one of my dream interviews, Mr. Fab. What about that song?
The shout out, that's Contact, my boy Contact. Okay. He's a school teacher in East Palo Alto. He does a lot of work with kids. So he does a lot of like positive music, rap. And he has a lot of connections where he knows a lot of artists. So what he does is he has a way of bringing everybody, all the artists together, but on a positive side, doing stuff for kids. And he presented that track to me. He was like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna have Yuck on here, Mr. He'll name artists, and he'll say, "I'm gonna put you on here," and he'll say, "Can you do a verse for me for it?" I said, "Yeah," you know what I mean. And I've been working with him for like, I want to say, man, almost 20 years, about 20 years now, faithfully. And he's done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work with him. I think our first major one was Beats. His label was Beats by the Bay, but we did ones called Stay in School. Stay in School, that had like Jacka on there and Keep the
Girl Dad as well.
Girl Dad was, we did that a couple years ago. We had Sat at X from Brand Nubian on that one. And Girl Dad was dope. You know, Pizzo, shout out to Pizzo on there, Fab, and there's a couple other people on there. And it was a song basically, Girl Dads. You know, everybody who has a girl, a daughter, and we made a song about it, man, and it was dope. McLaren F1 did that track.
So you're a girl dad?
Yeah, I'm a girl dad, man. I got one daughter. That's it.
Okay. You did have a song with Raekwon, right? Urban Warfare.
Off with Raekwon, huh? Yeah, that's another one of those favorites, man. You give out some tracks, man. Get these verses, man. McLaren F1, he's a producer that actually that might not be super known, but I'm saying he makes so much quality music where people like, damn, I need some tracks from you, and then it goes back to saying, hey, I need a verse from you. You know what I mean? So we just did it that way, man, and like favor for a favor, man, and he sent it to me, and I was like, and then I did my verse. I'm like, oh man, I gotta do this. You know what I mean? He said, hey, it's the next single. We could just drop this with the Ray on there, and that's how I go, man. It's not, because I'll be honest with you, I can't afford Raekwon verse. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be stiff. You know what I mean? He's not gonna do, and then first of all, he's probably not. Being from the Wu, he's very particular on who he's going to do a song with anyway. You know what I mean? So if you do get a verse from him, just look at it as that meant to go down. That was a good situation.
Just be lucky he replies to your messages at all. That's the thing. I've hit him up so many times for an interview.
Oh, for real? Yeah.
And they don't read it, because why would they? They don't. Right. You don't expect somebody that big to check their shitty DMs.
Right. And then guess what? It's crazy because once I dropped that, and I had not been on, social media for a while after maybe summer of 2021. I took time off. I wasn't on there for like a year almost, you know what I mean? And off because I wasn't doing any music at the time. So I was like, oh, I'll just take time off. So I've done it. I did it before. So it was easy for me to just let me just step away for a minute. And I get back on, I see a message from Ghostface Manager, right? So, and this was like a year later. I'm like, whoa, I didn't see this message. He was just like, asking questions like, you want to do some work? You know what I mean? With Ghostface. So yeah, man, it's just like different stuff like that does happen. You can do one thing and then somebody else hits you because they're still part of the same circle. So I'm pretty sure he heard it and then thought like, oh, I got to tap in with him. So see if I can get on his album. You know what I mean? So that could be coming soon, man. So y'all never know. Y'all might see a Ghostface in E-Ray C, man. And this one gonna be, it is. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just talking, just putting the information out there.
Yeah. You also got a buzzing track with Clyde Carson.
Right. Another situation with the producer McLaren. I cannot stress McLaren F1. He got Clyde to do the. He was like, hey, I need you to get on the track. And that's just how it goes, man. He gave him some beats. He had a few features from him, and now he's going to be on my new album also. I got a verse from Clyde on my new album, and the buzzing track McLaren F1. He did that track with him. He's done multiple songs with him. They're kind of really clicked up. They do music together all the time, so it's just easier to get him. And we got future music with him, and we got music that's out with him. Yep.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Clyde Carson growing up.
Man,
back in the day, because when he was especially when he was on Black Wall Street.
Oh yeah, he dope, man. He dope. He along with shout out to King Crooked, man, one of the dopest MCs on the West Coast, man.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I hope you get an interview. I really hope you get an interview with him because he's.
I've been trying. I've literally been trying. I've used every way possible that I've known to to get a hold of Crooked.
I'll maybe chime in. I don't know him personally. I know my producer does. He does. McLaren F1 gave him some tracks before also. So maybe I'll chime in with him and see if he can, because they know, man, they didn't ran it. This is crazy how the world is, man. We were talking about Crooked and how dope he was one day, and then the next day he runs into him while they're jogging, right? He said, man, you're not going to believe we were just talking about Crooked, and I ran into him, and they built a relationship based on jogging around a neighborhood. They stayed not too far from each other. And that's how they clicked up, and he's able to, so he's spoken to him many a times and did, he sent him some music. I don't know if it's out yet, but he has done tracks for him before. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done 3 tracks back in the day with Crooked Eye. And then he also gave me 10 tickets for when Rock the Bells was in Vancouver and Slaughterhouse was here. So he gave me a whole bunch of tickets. So
That's dope.
I already have a connection. He just hasn't put the dots together, right?
Yeah, right. That's what it be. And then sometimes people be just busy doing their own thing, man. It's not
just trying to manifest it.
Yeah, that's how you do it. I think you'll get it, man. From what I heard, he's a cool dude. I went to one show. He came to Oakland when he dropped the album, The Predator. He dropped that record, and he came to Oakland to perform. And I went to that show, and I took a picture with him. I don't think he remembered, but that's when I was just tapping in what he was doing at the time. I thought it was dope. But you see how I talk about other MCs on the show that you're talking about me? Because I got love for hip hop. I'm not really focused on like, oh, it's all about me. No, it's all about all of us, man. This is 50 years of hip hop, man. Shout out to everybody that contribute. Whether you're a small artist just starting off, you still contributed to this life that we call hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Or a big artist. Man, shout out to all the artists doing their thing, you know?
So while we're on that, then just to throw out a couple names of friends that I got. One of them, your boy, or Rich Rocca from
yeah.
You know him?
Yeah. I know the boy. Yeah, he's dope. You know what I mean? He's always. Actually, I think I just heard some new stuff from him, man. Probably sometimes because when you're online, you kind of just be going through stuff, and then you see something. I'm like, okay, he's still rocking. You know, I expect him to still be rocking, but he's still doing his thing. Yep.
And then there's a video producer. He makes music videos in the Bay, Hatch 86.
Oh, okay. Heard of him.
I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I heard of that name before. Yeah,
but he does a lot of Too Short and E40 videos and stuff.
Oh, okay. I've heard of the name before, but I just can't connect the dots on what he was doing.
If you were having a dream dinner party and you can invite 3 other famous people that are alive, who do you want to bring to your table?
Oh, that's alive. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good
dead or alive.
Dead or alive. Oh, I'm taking off back. I'm taking Bruce Lee, Bob Marley, and I might want to throw a woman in there. Angela Davis. I'm gonna throw them 3 in there, just like that. You know what I mean? Real good conversation right there. You know.
For me, I always go with Tupac, and then Seth Rogen would be my comedian because he's from Vancouver and he smokes weed. So
right.
And then for a little bit of eye candy, I got to get Shakira there, I think.
I heard that. That's dope. That's dope, man. That's cool. See, I'm trying to think on a more of a where I'm at now, but I'm all for that too. You know what I'm saying? Because I ran, we know Pac. It's kind of a little different. You know what I'm saying? I already knew him and a little bit, so I've seen.
You had run-ins with Pac then?
No, man. It's a whole nother story, brother.
I need that story.
Woo! So Pac, the whole story with Pac is when he first started, he was rocking with people that we knew that was part of his manager. Man, that's one of my our friends that lived up the block. That was his older brother. He had a lot of and Babes. These are people that's our OGs, that's older than us that ran with Pac at the time. In Oakland, and they from Richmond, but they was rocking with him. And they was part of his team, so when he was starting off, before his album even came out, he was looking for a group of kids to rap. This is before Outlaws and whatever. Shout out to them, he actually, our little friend, our folks in the neighborhood, they got together, my cousins, everybody, they formed a group, and we went over Pac house. They said Pac looking for a group, so we all piled in the car. At the time, I think Papa took us down there, and he drove us to Pac house in Oakland, his apartment in Oakland. This before Pac even first album came out. He had just finished it. You see the layout. He's showing us the layout of his album, Tupacalypse Now, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm about to drop this." He said, "I'm looking for a group that I want to work with." We like, "Oh, okay," because we knew who he was because he did. When I hang around with the underground, he was already with Digital Underground. So we already knew who he was. We went over his house, we young, and he said, all right, everybody spit a verse. So we all spit verses. He was like, all right, y'all cool. I think me and my boy STN, we went over there. And he wasn't like smaller kids, like real small. So he took the little homies in the hood, he put them all together. And he said, okay, when I'm finished with them, if y'all still rocking, I'll do something with y'all afterwards. You know what I mean? So he did demos with them, man. Wrote the songs, and they went in. They, I wish I had some of them demos still, but they actually did songs with him, and he was trying to actually get him signed at the time. And this was back in, I want to say 1991, 92.
So was that him auditioning for like trying to make the Thug Life group, or would that have been like the Outlaws?
Which one? I'm sorry.
Would that be like auditioning? You guys went to the studio to almost audition to be in the Outlaws?
Yeah, it wasn't really the Outlaw because he wasn't even in that stage at that point.
Yeah, so it would have been like Thug Life would be almost the first group.
So really called it the Half Nots. They gave him a name. They was called the Half Nots. And which actually, if you think now, when a story that the Half Nots that he was going to put out, they end up being on my album, right? I put them on my album because they from my hood. They're from my block. So I initially just put them on my album because Pac he was doing his own thing at the time. He was still having them waiting to see what they was going to do. So I took Dog, my boy Jess, and Ayrton, and I threw them on my album at the time. And guess what happened? So Pac manager, I don't want to tell you no lies or nothing, man. So they went and bought my album. I put it out, and Pac, I'll see him up the street from the house. They went around the corner, and you could see them. He looking at my album cover and looking like, who is he? This guy put my artist on his album, not in a bad way, but I think it was like, oh man, that's cool that he's like, and I guess his manager that was our friend. He was just like, look, man, somebody that put your group already on the album, on their album, you know what I mean? So I think it was a good thing, man, and I felt good because I'm like, dang, Pac got my album, but I mean, he got it for the reason that his artist that he was working with, I put him on my album because we from the people that he's working with, we from the same block. So of course they're gonna be on my album, you know what I mean? And then from there, they end up being in all the videos, like, to Keep Your Head Up, If My Homies Call, all these videos that he did from his first album and the second one. If you see the little dudes in there, that's my family, that's my block, that's my peoples, you know what I mean? They all in the video. So I was going to school, to be honest with you. It was times where I could be in the videos, but I was so caught on going to school. I was like, I got to go to school, man. So I don't look at them as missed opportunities to being around pockets that many times, but I was just like, I always felt like something else was calling me to just stay doing what I was doing. You know what I mean? So that's how that went, You
have a dream venue that you wish to perform in one day, or what's the best venue you ever performed in?
So we performed, me and Contact and King Sidle, we performed the Sabercat theme song. That's the indoors football league. We performed theme song in front of 20,000 people before at the arena in San Jose. That was probably the biggest crowd. I mean, just seeing all those people in there, that was big. And then we performed again at another arena, but I'm not for sure exactly what, because I was back in like 08, 07. And Jackal was there too, and he performed too. But it was all through Contact, man. So shout out to Contact. He's put me in a lot of great situations, to perform at.
It definitely sounds like it. Every question reverts almost back to him.
Yeah, man. You shout out to Contact, man. He's working, always working. He has a movie. He's doing film right now. He's doing some movies. Finders Keepers 1 is about to release. He's already working on part 2. He's got a scary, like a horror film coming out. He's working on a lot of stuff, man. He's done a lot of music, but he's stay active. If y'all go to at Contact21, that's his Instagram, man. Check him out.
I know you just put out the music video, but you also put out a new song, relatively new, anyways, called "You Must."
You Must, yeah.
So tell us about that.
Okay, so "You Must" was it was a song that I did a while ago, and it was more like a story song. I like listening to like people like Brother Lynch. I thought Brother Lynch telling his stories on how he tell the horror stuff was so dope. I never tried to mimic that when I was doing my song, but it gives you that vibe. The track is dark. Shout out to Dab Daniel. He did the track. It was dark, so I kind of took my creativity that way. So I basically told a story about a guy that killed a girl. Maybe it was because he was a drunk driver, so he ran into the back car, and she died. So, and I would act like I was a Lyft driver. So what I would do, I picked him up. I told him, hey, take some candy in the back. And when you hear the full record, that's the one record. But I took the skit off. I'm gonna put the skit on my album. Basically, I took that part and I said, hey, so he's chewing the gum and stuff. But then in the song, I basically say, chew that gum. The next 5 minutes, your body gonna get numb. You know what I mean? I'm basically telling them because now I'm about to. So it's the Vigilante type song. So I basically kidnapped him and I took him to a warehouse and I tied him up. You know, just like what was it called? What was that movie?
I don't know. A lot of them.
You know that scary movie when you tied them up, when you take they kidnap the guy and
any mafia movie?
No, not one of those. You know the real scary one. Where you take the person and you tie him up, and then these crazy things can start happening to him. Basically, I numbed him up, and I'm making him worry. I'm torturing him, and while he's still alive. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So the song is actually called "You Must Die," but I didn't want to put the die part out like that. I wanted to make people think about what I was saying. You know what I mean? So it's like a story song of, just some fiction, just something that, something my creative juices was flowing, man. And I just kind of wanted to go somewhere else because I never did anything like that. So I was like, I'm about to do something I've never done before. And the music is taking me there. So it's making it seems like the way I'm rapping, it sounds like a movie. You know what I mean? So I would honestly tell people to check that record out. And if you like, music like that, and just on the creative side, it's probably one of my most creative songs, man, because I went there like talking like I was actually in a movie.
You have a dream feature?
Dream features, like when you say these things, yeah, I actually do, man. I think, and then that list is so long, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
let's see, who would I want to do a record with? You know what I'm saying? I'm always open, man. Let's see here. Who would I want to do a song with? Yeah, it's kind of. I know we need to say somebody. Yeah.
Like if you got given a
whether it's hip hop or what or.
Hey, I don't know, but if you had like a whole, say, $1 million budget on it for an album, like who are you going to first?
Oh man, that's crazy. Man, I throw Anita Baker on there, but I don't even need 10 million to get her like that. But I'm pretty sure, somebody like that, Anita Baker, put on the right song. I don't think she'd do hip hop, but I love Anita Baker, man. Her music is something I listen to every day, man. But hip hop wise, man, I'm open. I'll do something with like Nas, somebody probably like Nas, anybody from the Locks, you know what I'm saying? Of course, my West Coast, Dre, and anybody, Alcoholics, Taz, he dope, you know what I mean? Casual from the High Road, I'm just trying to think outside the box because all the other people I can actually get, you know what I'm saying? I always try to think the people that I can't get, you know what I mean?
Tash is good shit though. Tash, I had him on the show.
I just hit him online. He had posted something that I said, man, this is dope. He hit me back and said, all right, man, right on. You know what I mean? I know J-Ro. I met them. We did a show. We didn't do the show, but we was at their show. Me and my brother Dap, we went there a couple of years back in San Francisco. They put on a dope show, man. So when they did the song "Damn," you know what? When they said, "I'm from the crew that starts it off by pouring beer in your face," they actually did that part. So when Taz is rapping, they turned around and poured the beer in everybody's face. So everybody went crazy. That was just a dope moment right there. You know what I mean? That was dope. Them boys they fun. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell in their lyrics. You know what I'm saying? The way how they have fun with their raps and stuff like that. It's like. It's for real, but it's like fun music, you know what I'm saying? So, and it's still hip hop, you know what I mean? They definitely one of the dopest record artists from the West Coast, man. But I don't know if they get props and not like that, but I think so. I think they put out some great music,
What are your hobbies outside of music these days?
A lot of reading, man. I got right back into reading. A lot of trying to connect with self, man. Nature, just being outside with nature, and just kind of like, just sometimes just learning how to breathe. It's different techniques on how to actually breathe. Nobody thinks about it, but they think because we're just breathing, you're just breathing. But I mean, it's techniques on how to breathe. Shout out to my brother Stick from the Dead Prez. I met him maybe about 6 months ago, right? He just put out a book called The 5 Principles. So I'm reading that book right now, and it's very eye-opening. It talks about health, inner wealth, and knowledge of self. And I'm on a chapter where he talks about martial arts, and because he's into those things. But that's a great book, man. I recommend anybody to get that. It's The 5 Principles by Stick from Dead Prez. They're working on a new album right now too. I don't know if you heard of them. Dead Prez. They're
I know
from Florida.
Dead Prez, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, they had the hip hop song back in the day.
Yeah, man. So I met that brother, man. He's a real cool brother, man. Real relaxed Stick, man, from the Dead Prez. I've seen him perform before, but I know Stick. I don't know the other one. I don't know M1, but I know Stick. And he's real cool. Like I said, he just got a book out because he's really into fitness and stuff, man. So, but his book is deeper than fitness. It's about a lot of great things, man. So I encourage anybody to go pick that book up. It's called The 5 Principles.
Okay. Before we get to my quick response questions, do you want to plug anything?
Yeah. My IG is at erase_E_E_E_E. My website I just got going on right now is www.erase.com. That's ERASE-E.com. Check out my website. I'm always put all my information on there. And my album Conscious Player is out. Y'all go to Bandcamp if you can. The artist, gets more money for it if you go to Bandcamp and support it and download it. Dab Daniel album is out right now. That's my brother. It's called 333, the album, Dab Daniel. Very good hip hop artist, hip hop songs. Y'all check that album out also. Yeah.
Okay. You got a favorite sports franchise?
I'm Warriors, but I would have to say the Lakers.
Okay.
Because of what they done. It was just so phenomenal to see. Even back from Magic, when I'm talking about Magic, Kareem, and, Worthy and them, they sparked something in me, just to look at them, their dynasty at that time. And then even with Kobe, what I'm saying? Kobe is one of the greatest athletes we ever seen in our lives, what I'm saying? So I think, a lot of people are like, well, you was a fan. I was like, I like what they represented, what I'm saying? So, I'm Warriors, but I always rocked with the Lakers because they were just who they were, what I'm saying? And then outside of franchise of Kobe, and you find out who he really was, like the way he approached everything, like the thought of. I started my album Conscious Player off with him speaking about the name of my song is called Top of the Morning, and I used a clip where he says, if you want to accomplish things, you wake up early, real early, so you get more time in your day. And that's what he was talking about. So I took those advice. I try to do that all the time now. I try to wake up early just to get things out the way, man. I've always been an early person, and everybody I rock with, man, I come from something. So, shout out to Brimstone. We always say that. I got
early bird gets the worm.
Yeah, man. We always, everybody I grew up with, we always got up early, man. That was just a thing about us, man. We early people. We never was slouching around waiting for things. Everybody was up. Everybody I know was up. Everybody I know, even whether you had a job or not, you was up at 6 a.m. Up like your day. I'm talking about like dressed and everything, man, ready to go. You know what I mean? But so if you raise that way, then it's easier for you to stay on that path. You know what I'm saying? I don't stay in the bed too long, man. I like to get my rest. That way I can get up early.
Yep, no, that's for sure. I'm the same way. 5 a.m. every day.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. And then it's like, and then once you're working, it's easier to do because if you have to be at work, then you got to be up early. You know what I'm saying? So even when you're not at work, you end up still waking up early. Because I hate losing sleep because I still wake up early. You understand? My body naturally wakes up early anyway. So I'm like, shoot, I got to get my rest in because my body is going to automatically wake up. You know what I mean?
I always think the sooner I can get home from my day's work, the sooner I can enjoy myself.
Right, exactly, man. Getting up early, man. I mean, you can enjoy your day a lot better too. You know, and when you start your day late, it seems like the day is over with. It's
Yeah.
for some reason it feels like that, you know, and you already feel like time goes by fast anyway. So it's better just to start it off early, you know.
Do you have a favorite Halloween costume you ever was?
Ooh, not me. I never, you know what, maybe I didn't start dressing up, to be honest with you, until I turned into an adult. You know, I never
Yeah.
really dressed up. Yeah, so I dressed up as like a player, you know, something that I represent anyway, a player, you know,
Yeah.
so that was easy to be. Just like being yourself, you know what I mean? But not really being yourself, you know what I mean? But, you know, I had a little jacket with a cane. We went out to San Francisco to this little party with a bus full of people. We all, you know, got together one year, and I think that maybe was about 10 years ago. We
Okay.
did a lot of like trips like that, you know.
Do you have a favorite actor or actress?
Actor, actress. I think the easy way to say that is Denzel and maybe Angela Bassett, but I know it's other ones that I really look up to also, but those are just first names, are the first ones that I'm coming to my mind.
Okay. A cat or dog person?
Dog, definitely dog.
Okay. Big booty or big breasts?
Both. Nah.
Okay, good answer.
But you know what? I'm not. I don't discriminate. You don't even have to. You have person. You know, I'm at the age personality, man. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when you get older, things change. You don't really just.
You're allowed to plead the fifth.
Yeah, plead the fifth, man. But I'll take both of them. I'll take any or I. You know what I'm saying? If I like it, it doesn't matter. You know.
If you had to eat pancakes or waffles for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
It would be waffles because I like waffles, man. I love
Okay.
waffles, man.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
To spread more love. You know what I mean? You know, maybe what I'm saying is you can spread love without the superpower, but I'm saying like, you know, make everybody else feel the same way. They just feel loved, you know.
I think I'd want to know what my date was thinking before she left me behind.
Right, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
If do you collect anything?
What? Sorry?
Do you collect anything? Like some people collect cards or anything.
Yeah. You know what? I was a big collector on like toys, you know, I used to collect a lot of like Star Wars back in the days. Remember my cousin, we always collect. I haven't done that in years, you know, and those things come up missing. You know, I don't have them anymore. I mean, the latest thing that I have collected over the last 20 years have been CDs. Probably I've got boxes and crates full of CDs right now. You know, all my vinyl that I bought back in the days, I actually gave that to the DJ that I was talking about, my DJ, DJ Iceberg, who's married to my cousin. Shout out to Shantae. I gave all my records to him because he was the DJ. So I would say, hey, I just got some records, so he ended up having them. A lot of my personal items that I ever had over the years, I actually gave them to other people, like to all my friends. So like when it came to my Nintendo games, I had like 100 Nintendo games, right? Gave them to my boy Dap, and I teased him on a song. I said I never got them back. You know what I mean? So a lot of my things, like even when West Coast Bad Boys, when I got my copy, I gave that to my best friend, not really giving it to them. You know, I just let them use it, but I never got them back. You know what I mean? So, because you know, that's the good thing about life, man. You can give out, you know, give your items or who you are to someone else, and then they still have them. So I feel like I still have them if they got them, you know.
If you were a flavor, what flavor would you be?
Caramel, maybe caramel. I love chocolate though.
Okay, these are those stumper questions that I throw in to get these kids thinking when I'm trying to wrap up the interview there.
Yeah. I love chocolate though so much, so I guess I'll be chocolate because I love chocolate. Anything chocolate, you know what I mean?
Okay, I know. I always go with mint because I feel like I'm mint.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah. I at one point I was eating up some chocolate every day, but not no more. But yeah.
Hey, this wasn't really one, but if you had to pick Nas or Jay-Z.
Oh, okay. That's easy for me because I'm gonna say Nas because shout out to Jay. Jay have done some incredible stuff music, but I'm gonna go with Nas, man, just on the fact of who he is and what he represent. How what he the song making, the lyrics. I gotta go with Nas, man. That's somebody I actually listen to. That's somebody I really, really listen to. So yeah, shout out to Nas.
What about if you're gonna do that again? What about like say Ja Rule or 50?
Of course, I'm gonna say 50. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I always say shout out to the other person because it's not a hate. You know what I mean? Ja put out some dope records. Ja put out some dope records. You know what I'm saying? He was singing. Ja put out some dope music, but I'm gonna go with 50. He had that edge, man. 50 had the edge, man. His music was dope. He represented. I mean, everything he was doing. He came with the different hooks that nobody else was doing at the time with understreet music. You know what I'm saying? His impact was great, man, and the way he approached music was dope. So I got to go with 50.
Last one for you. Who's the best rap group of all time?
Wow. For me, I'm gonna say NWA all day, man. NWA. That's what sparked me, really. NWA was what sparked me. To be honest with you. I mean, I said Run DMC, but I mean, when I got into actually writing music, it was NWA, man. And then it was home. It's on the West Coast, so it felt good. Everything that they rapped about, it was relatable. The music was so dope. That's when they had standard guitar, man, and them playing on the records. It was like they were so different to me because they wasn't just making beats. It was like Dre'll make the beats and then he'll add a guitar person and then made it live. So that's why Gangsta sounded like that. A lot of their records sound more full because they added to it. It wasn't just a beat. It was just like we're gonna add live music to our music too. And then Cube and Ren was on there just going crazy. Yeah. And then even after Cube left the group, they were still that. The second album was dope. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, they still came with dope music. It wasn't like they didn't fall off. Okay, Cube's not in the group no more, but they still that record was dope. You know what I'm saying? Eazy-E, all of them, man. I'm E-Ray-C. I know a lot of people I remember somebody saying that. That's like Eazy-E. I'm like, nah, I'm E-Race, man. I had my name since I was younger. I didn't know about Eazy-E when I made my name. It's just a name that stuck out to me. You know what I'm saying? Erase. I was an artist first. I used to draw a lot. So when I was younger, I drew an artist. He had a boombox. He had some fat laces, and I was into hip hop. And I called it Erase. That was my first little. So, and I wasn't even rapping at the time, but I called that artist Erase. And I'm like, and I used that name years later. You know what I mean? So,
right. That's kind of how mine turned out. It was like I was doing graffiti and I was tagging Hayes in middle school, and then then when it was the hip hop label, it was Hazy and T, and then my albums were always called I Only Touch Greatness, which is now the podcast.
So it's like everything just goes into place. It's just like it's organic. It's not like you're making up anything. It's just like it's kind of like who you are. It's just kind of like you're just going with whoever you are. You know what I mean?
That's for sure. Well, I want to thank you for giving me the time and getting this interview done. I should have had it for you yesterday, but I screwed that up.
Oh no, it's good, man. That's why I told you today will be fine also, man. And I'm ecstatic that you reached back out to me because I felt like you were busy. I mean, and I just looked at a lot of content on your on the page, and I was like, oh, I wonder if he's on this level still. And then what made this interview even dope because you didn't even know all the things that I've accomplished, and you were just kind of just going off what you knew. But you see how I got rich history. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know somebody's going to enjoy this because you're getting history from an artist that's been around for a while that's still moving, still doing stuff. I do have a new album that I'm working on that should be out soon. But they'll check for that because it'll be on all the social media sites and my website whenever I drop. So I'm keeping it pushing, man. And I'm gonna get as many new type of features that people I've never worked with. Because I've worked with a lot of artists, man, especially in the Bay Area. But I'm trying to venture out and do some other things too. So